Hey there. If you are at a major transition point in your life right now, and I'm talking about whether it is your career, your overall life direction, your business, your faith, this video is for you. You clicked at just the right time because there is a moment in everyone's life where it feels like the ground underneath them starts to shift. And sometimes this isn't dramatic. It's not like a big earthquake, right? Sometimes it's more like a slow settling, and things that used to excite you maybe don't excite you anymore. And the goals you used to push hard toward, and the goals that, you move forward with, maybe they've lost their importance to you and their weight to you. And the life that used to fit you before feels like now you're wearing someone else's shoes or someone else's clothes. It just doesn't sit right with you. And then questions start to surface. Like, is it time for me to make a move? I'm not sure. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 5 real signals, 5 ways, not feelings, not moods, but actual indicators that tell you it is time. Because timing a life move, especially a major life move on emotion alone, is super dangerous. But ignoring the signals, that's even more dangerous. One of my favorite verses from the best success book ever written, the Bible, talks about this. In Proverbs 22:3, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. But the simple person, what the Bible calls the fool, goes on blindly and suffers the consequences. And that is Proverbs 22:3, one of my favorite verses in the best success book ever written. And so I have made moves at the right time in my life and at the wrong time. And the difference was never courage. It was whether I was reading the signals correctly or ignoring them. So we're going to talk about the signals that you need to pay attention to know it's time to make a move in your life in this video. And so here is the problem with the way most people think about timing. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the stars to align, right? They wait for some moment of total clarity where the fear is completely gone and the path is like super obvious to them and they're 100% confident. But the problem is that moment doesn't exist. And while they're waiting for that perfect time and that perfect feeling, they make the mistake in thinking that the absence of a green light means that there's a red light. And they think that because they do not feel a clear yes, then the answer must be no, or not yet, or I need to wait a little longer. But that's not how life transitions work at all. Right? Life transitions do not announce themselves with clarity in that way, usually. They announce themselves with discomfort in where you currently are, with friction, like with this quiet, persistent feeling of like, something has shifted in the current way I'm doing things, the current way my life is set up is no longer holding up the way it used to. And the problem is that most people are not trained to read those signals. So they feel that discomfort and they just try to fix it, but they adjust like surface level things. So it's kind of like redecorating the room instead of asking whether or not you're in the wrong building kind of thing. Like it's just like those higher questions we sometimes don't think to ask, especially if we've been doing the same things the same way for a long time. So let me give you those 5 signals that let you know it's absolutely time to make a bigger move. Not emotional impulses, but real evidence that could help you move forward. So the first, signal 1, is your growth has stopped and it's not seasonal, right? So there's a difference between a resting season and a ceiling, like a glass ceiling over your head. So resting seasons are temporary. You catch your breath, there's more room to just grow later on, but a ceiling is structural. It is like a hard wall, right? So if you hit that ceiling and you've been maintaining and trying to keep things together for more than 6 months, probably, I would say is usually the time frame I tend to see when coaching clients. There's no reason to believe that that will change. That is a signal, that is a sign that you need to pay attention to. Signal 2 is your values and the environment have grown apart. And this one is sneaky because it doesn't happen overnight. Your values and what's really, really important to you, it gradually changes over time through experience, through growth, through up and down seasons. Those things refine really what matters to you. And so sometimes you look around one day and then you realize that the environment you're in, whether it's the company or the relationship or the city or the community, it was built for values you no longer hold. And you're not angry at the environment, right? It's not like the environment drastically changed. And so you're like, why am I not happy? Or what's going on, right? But it's not that the environment changed. You did. Your values, what you care about, and that environment grew apart. It stopped overlapping. And so that friction you feel is not a problem to solve. It's just a signal to really pay attention to, okay? The third signal that it's time to potentially make a move is that you're performing, but you're not building something meaningful for yourself. And this is one that catches high achievers and high performers and driven folks off guard, because from the outside, everyone can still be giving you applause. Everything can still look great, right? The results are there, the performance is there, but you know in the quiet moments that you don't share with anyone that you're not doing anything that really is meaningful to you, that makes you feel like you're living in your purpose. You're just kind of running on a routine. You're just doing what you've done because it's been convenient. But performance without purpose is just like a treadmill. Like you're running, but you're not really getting anywhere. And so if you've been on that treadmill long enough to feel it in your body and in your spirit, and it's getting harder and harder to show up every day and take that ride, that is a signal to pay attention to. Signal 4 is the cost of staying has become higher than the cost of leaving. So most people calculate the cost of leaving when they're making a major transition, like for example, the financial risk or the social risk and disruption to relationships, the uncertainty. But few people calculate the cost of staying, the cost on your energy, the opportunity cost, the cost of it draining your spirit, the cost of time that you'll never get back, right? So when the cost of staying outweighs the cost of moving, and you can see that clearly, you can feel it clearly, even in your body, you can feel it, then that's not fear talking. That is data that you need to pay attention to. And signal 5 is you keep having the same conversation with yourself over and over. So you are fussing in the mirror. You're like, da, 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 this hasn't changed. Why am I here? Why is this way? Why is that way? That is probably the clearest signal of all, that the same question keeps showing up over and over and over again in your journals and in your prayers and in your 2 a.m. thoughts. It's not going away. Right? You can't ignore it even if you try. You can try to distract yourself from it, but it's going to be there tomorrow and the next month and the next year. A question that will not leave is a decision waiting to be made. Okay, I'm going to say that again. A question that will not leave your heart and your mind and your spirit is a decision waiting to be made. So the question is not whether to make it. You should. The question is, how long are you willing to carry it before you do make a decision? So here's what I want you to do. Take those 5 signals and run a quick diagnostic, run a quick check, right? So you want to look for the following, like we talked about. Is growth completely stopping? Are values growing apart from the environment? Are you performing without feeling like you're really building something meaningful? Is the cost of staying starting to get higher than the cost of moving? And are you having the same conversations with yourself on repeat? If any of those 5 signals are active in your life right now, I want you to know that you're not alone, right? So you only have 1 or 2 of those signals in your life. That's a sign to you to really start to pay attention to what's going on. It's kind of like an early warning. If 2 or 3 of those things that I talked about are present for you, it's time to start planning, not impulsively, but strategically, because the evidence is clear. You have a decision you need to make, and you're ready to move. And if the answer is 4 or 5, you already know. You already know that things cannot stay the way they have been. And so the signals have been speaking to you for a while now. And the only question left is whether you're going to trust them and trust yourself to move forward. So if you're reading the signals and you're like, man, Jennifer, that's me, and you know it's time to make a move and you want some structured help in planning that move more wisely, I do a limited number of From Confusion to Clarity decision strategy sessions each week. So the link for that is in the description below. Look, at the end of the day, life doesn't always give you a clear green light. There's a reason why yellow lights exist, right? But it does give you signals. And these are the kind of signals you can read and you can pay attention to if you're willing to look. And so I want you to continue to think higher, because that is where your better life is waiting. And thank you for watching to the end of this video. You didn't have to, but every time you do, it helps me. And also too, if you enjoyed this, please go ahead and like it, because it helps YouTube and the algorithm and all this stuff serve it to more people. And I think there are so many people in our society right now who are stuck. They are stuck and they need to start moving, and they need to read these signals and figure it out. Maybe even some people in your life. So if you could like it, it helps us together reach more people. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, think higher and live better. I'll see you in the next one.